Ratio and Proportion.
Rita and Varun, how was your vacation?
It was fun, Grandpa.
We have purchased many things. Very good. Now bring your maths book. We will learn a new chapter. Rita, tell me what is the cost of your doll?
It was 40 rupees, Grandpa.
And what is the cost of your pen, Varun? 5 rupees, Grandpa. How many times is the cost of the pen to the cost of doll? It is 1/8 times, and this comparison is known as ratio. Ratio of pen to the doll will be written as 1:8. We say that ratios are fractions that compare two similar values. Comparison of two quantities with different units. Two quantities can be compared only if they are in the same units. We cannot compare two different quantities with different units like meter and centimeter. Ratio is expressed in its simplest form. The terms in the simplest form cannot be further simplified. The two terms in a ratio should be expressed in the same unit of measurement. Let's understand it with an example. Vinita has 100 milliliters of milk in a cup and 2 liters of milk in a jug. Varun, can we compare these units? No, Grandpa. The two quantities are measured in two different units, and hence they cannot be compared. The milk in the cup is given in milliliter, and the milk in the jug is given in the unit liter. So we have to convert liter and milliliter in the same unit. Milk in jug is equal to 2 liters is equal to 2 into 1000 milliliters is equal to 2000 milliliters. The ratio of milk in the cup to ratio of milk in the jug is milk in cup by milk in jug is equal to 100 by 2000 is equal to 1/20 is equal to 1:20. Quantity of milk in the jug is 20 times of quantity the milk in the cup. In the ratio x is to y, the quantities or the numbers x and y are called the terms of the ratio. First term x is called antecedent and y is called the second term and consequent. Equivalent ratios. Varun, do you know the method of finding equivalent ratios is similar to equivalent fractions? Ratio does not change its value if it is multiplied or divided by the same number. To get an equivalent ratio to a given ratio, multiply or divide both the terms of the given fraction by the same number except 0. Equivalent ratios of 16:20 are multiply numerator and denominator by 2. We get 32/40, or multiply numerator and denominator by 3. We get 48:60. Similarly, divide numerator and denominator by 2. We get 8/10 or 8:10. Ratio in the simplest or lowest form. A ratio x is to y is said to be in the simplest form or lowest form if x and y has no common factor other than 1, or if the common factor of antecedent and consequent is 1. The steps to find ratio in the simplest or lowest form are: Step 1. Write the ratio as fraction. Step 2. Find the HCF of numerator and denominator. Step 3. Divide each term by the HCF and write it as ratio. Let's understand it with an example. Write the simplest form of 120:200. Rita, can you find out the HCF of 120 and 200?
Yes, Grandpa. The HCF of 120 and 200 is 40.
Very good. So divide numerator and denominator by 40. 120 divided by 40 and 200 divided by 40 is equal to 3 by 5. So the ratio is 3:5.
Now we will be able to find out the answers more quickly.
Comparison of ratios. Comparing of ratios is very simple. For this, we follow these steps. Step 1. Write the ratios as fraction and convert them in the simplest form. Step 2. Find the LCM of the denominators and convert unlike fraction to like fraction. Step 3. Compare the fractions by comparing their numerators. The fraction with greater numerator is greater. Step 4. The respective ratio of the fraction is also greater. Let's solve a problem based on it. A goldsmith mixes gold and copper in the ratio 7:8. Another goldsmith mixes gold and copper in the ratio 2:3. Which quality is better? Varun, tell me the ratio of gold and copper of first goldsmith. 7:8. And Rita, tell me the ratio of gold and copper of second goldsmith.
It is 2:3.
LCM of denominators 3 and 8 is 24. Divide denominator and numerator of first ratio by 3. We get 16 by 24. Similarly, for second ratio, we follow the same step. The second ratio is 16 by 24. Varun, tell me which is greater of these two. Grandpa, 21 by 24 is greater than 16 by 24. Hence, in the first ratio, the quantity of gold is more than the second ratio. Hence, first quality is better. Proportion. If two ratios are equal, then they are said to be in proportion. The symbol is used to equate the two ratios, or we can also say that proportion is used to compare the equality of different ratios, like 1:4 is equal to 6:24, is said to be a proportion because they are equivalent ratios. It can also be written as 1:4, 6:24. This is read as 1:4 is as 6:24, which means that the ratio of 1 to 4 is same as ratio of 6:24. These numbers which make up a proportion are known as terms. In proportion 4:6 is as 8:12, 4 is the first term, 6 is the second term, 8 is the third term, and 12 is the fourth term. Also, the first and fourth terms are called extreme terms or extremes, while the second and the third terms are called middle terms or mean. Any four numbers are said to be in proportion if the product of the extreme terms is equal to the product of middle terms, that is, W:X is equal to Y:Z, or W into Z is equal to Y into X. Let's take an example to understand it. Rita purchased 4 oranges for 30 and Varun purchased 12 oranges for 90. Whose oranges are less expensive? First compare the ratios of their number of orange and then their cost. Ratio of number of oranges is equal to 1:3. Ratio of their costs is equal to 1:3. Since both the ratios 4:12 and 30:90 are same, that is, 4:12 is as 30:90, we can say that they are in proportion and they bought oranges at the same rate. Continued proportion. If the mean terms in the proportion are same, then the proportion is called continued proportion. Thus, if x is to y is as y is to z, then x, y, z are said to be in continued proportions. For example, 9:18 is as 18:36 are in continued proportion. Mean proportion. If the three numbers such as x, y, and z are in continued proportions, then y is called the mean proportion of x and z. Also, z is said to be the third proportion. If x, y, and z are in continued proportion, then x is to y is as y is to z. Therefore, y square is equal to xz. Comparison of ratios. To compare the ratio, follow these steps. Step 1. Write the ratios as fraction and convert them in the simplest form. Step 2. Find the LCM of the denominators and convert unlike fraction to like fraction. Step 3. Compare the fractions by comparing their numerators. The fraction with greater numerator is greater. We can understand the procedure by taking an example. Rita, let's find which of the two ratio is greater, 3:4 or 5:6. First, find the LCM of denominator, that is 12. Convert these fractions into like fractions by multiplying numerator and denominator of first fraction by 3 and the second fraction by 2. We see that 10/12 is greater than 9/12. So 5:6 is greater than 3:4. Unitary method. The problem-solving method in which we find out the value of each unit and then find out the value of required number of units is called unitary method. This method is not used mostly. Rita and Varun, did you understand the chapter?
Yes, Grandpa.